My name is Sarah Thompson. I was born on a crisp spring morning in New York City where the hum of traffic and the buzz of endless possibilities became a part of who I am. I grew up in a cozy brownstone apartment in Brooklyn with my mom running a small bookstore downstairs. From a young age, I loved to sketch and paint, finding magic in the little things, a patch of sunlight on a rainy day, all the way leaves danced in the wind. Life was simple, steady, and predictable. That all changed when I turned 17 and met Ryan Carter. Ryan was different. He wasn't the loud, outgoing type who tried to impress people. Instead, he was the quiet, thoughtful boy in my literature class. He always sat at the back, his earphones dangling around his neck, scribbling in a notebook when no one else was paying attention. I had barely noticed him until our teacher paired us for a group project on The Great Gatsby. I remember nervously asking him if he wanted to meet at the library after school to work on it, and he gave me the smallest smile and said, "Sure, but only if we get coffee first." That was the beginning of everything. The project turned into long conversations about books, art, and dreams. Ryan shared his short stories with me. His words were raw and emotional, yet so beautiful. And I showed him my sketches, something I rarely shared with anyone. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't before. I still remember the day he said, "You notice details no one else does, Sarah. That's what makes your art so special." My cheeks flushed and my heart raced. I didn't realize it then, but I was already falling for him. By the time graduation rolled around, Ryan and I were inseparable. On the last day of school, he handed me a letter he'd written. In it, he said,
"You're the reason my stories have color. Don't let the world dull your light, Sarah."
That was the moment I knew I loved him. The summer before college was the best of my life. We spent hours exploring Brooklyn, watching the sunrise on the Brooklyn Bridge and making promises under the stars. We thought nothing could come between us, but life has a way of testing even the strongest of bonds. When summer ended, I went to Columbia University in Manhattan to pursue art, while Ryan left for Boston to study creative writing. We promised to visit each other every chance we got, and at first we did. I would take the train to Boston, and he'd come back to New York. We'd explore each other's cities, laughing and dreaming together like nothing had changed. But as college got busier, the distance began to weigh on us. Our calls became shorter, our texts less frequent, and I could feel us slipping away from each other. One day, during my sophomore year, Ryan called me. His voice was heavy, and I knew what was coming. "I love you, Sarah," he said, "but I think we need time to grow on our own." His words broke my heart. I spent months pouring my pain into my art, creating pieces that felt raw and honest even as they left me emotionally drained. My professors praised my work, but no amount of success could fill the void Ryan left behind. Years passed. I graduated and started building a name for myself in the New York art scene. By the time I was 23, my paintings were being displayed in galleries across the city. People called me a rising star, but deep down I still thought about Ryan. Where was he now? Did he still write? Did he ever think about me? One chilly autumn evening at the opening of my latest gallery show, I was mingling with guests when I saw a familiar face in the crowd. My heart skipped a beat. It was Ryan. He looked older, more refined, but his warm smile was exactly as I remembered. "Hi, Sarah," he said, his voice soft and familiar. "I saw your name on the flyer. I couldn't stay away." I felt a wave of emotions, joy, nervousness, and a longing I had buried for so long. "Ryan," I said, trying to steady my voice. "It's been a while." We talked for hours that night, catching up on everything we'd missed. Ryan told me how he'd been published a few times and how every story he wrote had pieces of me in it. I confessed how no one had ever understood me like he had. It felt like no time had passed, yet everything was different. As the gallery emptied and the night grew quiet, we walked through the streets of Manhattan just like we had done years ago. By the time we reached my apartment, Ryan stopped and took my hand. "Do you think we can try again?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Tears filled my eyes as I smiled and said, "I've been waiting for you, Ryan. Always." From that moment, we started a new chapter together. We supported each other's dreams, combining our passions into projects that celebrated love, creativity, and second chances. Life had taken us apart, but it had also brought us back together, stronger than before. And this time, I knew we'd never let go.
Thanks to watch this interested love story. I am sure that while listening this interested love stories, you have developed your English listening capacity. To become more fluent in listening, try to listen these stories repeatedly.